So you stopped at let's say, a intersection, and bam, you're hit from behind, and you're injured. You go get medical care, etc., and you have suffered what we call a personal injury claim. And what is that worth? Is it a case? Do you have a case that's worth pursuing? And we have been talking about the three things that lawyers look at to see, do you have a case that is worth pursuing? And I guess more precisely, is worth an attorney offering his or her services to you on what's called a contingent fee basis, which means that your case is good enough and your odds of recovering and winning are good enough that an attorney is willing to provide his or her services for free if they don't win. We've been talking about the three things that attorneys look for: whether or not they can prove liability, what are your damages, and what's your ability to recover. And we're going to be talking about number 3 today. Hi, everyone. This is Britton Morrell with the law firm Kaplan Morrell. We're a law firm in Colorado that helps people with on-the-job injuries, as well as getting people connected with attorneys who have what are called personal injury, and that means car accidents. And we've been talking about the three things that really make up what is a good personal injury claim, meaning that you've got an accident that is worth pursuing in court and getting recovery for. So let's talk about what those three things are. Number one is, can you prove the other side was at fault? Number two, have you sustained enough damages that makes pursuing a claim worthwhile? And the third thing is, can you recover those damages? In other words, you might be in that car, gotten hit from behind. Clearly, they're liable, they're negligent. Whoever hit you from behind is negligent. And you've got hundreds of thousands of medical bills. They had to do surgeries. They've had to do all sorts of things. You've got lost wages. You've got a year off of work, etc. They ruined your brand new Tesla. Your damages are in the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. But what happens if the person who hit you is some 19-year-old kid who has zero job or hardly any job, has no assets, and the only insurance policy they have is $25,000? You're not going to have a great recovery unless you can find other insurance. And that's what we're going to be talking about, other insurance. As long as you have been injured, you can prove liability, you've got the damages. The next thing that an attorney is going to look for is, can we recover your damages? How much can we recover? Because unless Bill Gates or Elon Musk or some multi-billionaire hit you, chances are, if you get a judgment against somebody personally for $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, guess what? They're going to file for bankruptcy. And when they do, you're going to get zero, nada. And you want to avoid that. And especially an attorney wants to avoid that if they're representing you. And so how much you can recover is a huge part of the equation. And that depends primarily on what kinds of insurance might you have access to that will pay for the damages you sustained. As always, it can get really complicated. So there are all sorts of different kinds of insurance that may come into play when you've been injured in a car accident or other personal injury. So first, what we're going to look for is, what kind of insurance does the other person have? The person who done you wrong, what is the insurance that they have? And in general, people will have liability insurance. Now, if it's in an automobile accident, people by law are required to carry some sort of liability insurance. That means you buy insurance. If you're found to be at fault for an accident, this insurance company will pay for the damages you caused to somebody else. So the person hit you, hopefully they have liability insurance. And in Colorado, it is the law to carry liability insurance if you're driving. Here's the problem. The limit is only $25,000, at least currently. That means that for a lot of people where they're trying to save money and they have to have insurance, they're going to get the cheapest policy they can. The cheapest policy is going to provide the least amount of coverage for them, which is just $25,000. Now, what happens if they cause an injury that's more than $25,000? Well, they are liable for the rest, right? But if they don't have a lot of assets, you can get a judgment against that person. I could get a $100,000 judgment against some kid. If they only have $25,000 in liability, their insurance company's going to pay $25,000 and then say, see ya, we're done, we're out of here. Go ahead and collect the rest from our client. And that client's going to look at that and say, I'm never going to be able to pay $75,000. And so what they're going to do is they're going to declare bankruptcy, and there you go. You've got a nice looking order saying that they owe you $100,000. You've got a check for $25,000 from their insurance company, and you've got nothing else. A bankruptcy order, which basically says, stop trying to collect from this person because they're filing bankruptcy. So first step in figuring out how much you can recover is you want to find out how much liability insurance does the other person have. Now, there may be other kinds of insurance that they have which might apply to your situation. Again, it's always complicated, and please understand you should always be talking with an attorney. But if they were driving for a company, the company's liability insurance may kick in as well, and the company may be able to be responsible. For example, if a delivery driver hits you and they're driving their own car, you have their policy, you have the company's policy. In some cases, maybe the person's homeowner's insurance might also cover the damages, particularly if you were injured on someone's premises, right? They may have homeowner's insurance that would cover you in addition to other insurance policies. Some individuals have a high enough net worth that they purchase what are called umbrella policies. These are comprehensive liability policies which say, hey, if I accidentally cause someone damage and they get $1 million judgment against me, I've got enough assets that I may not be able to protect myself from that. I want you to pay up to $1 million of loss. Some individuals are going to have what are called umbrella policies. So that's the first step. First step is let's look at what policies the person who caused you the harm have to see what could be available to you to recover that huge damage award that you so richly deserve. Step number 2 is let's look at, are there any other insurance policies available? Anybody else who might be responsible? And so, for example, in car accident cases, a lot of times good lawyers will look to see, is there anything that happened with the equipment, with the car, with the tires, with the brakes, with, anybody else where, hey, they too share in part of the blame. For example, if you got injured and you were wearing your seatbelt, but your seatbelt failed, you may also have a claim against the manufacturer, the designer, the repair of the seatbelt system. Okay, so you look to see, and this is why lawyers sometimes get the bad reputation that they get, because someone gets hurt, we kind of go after everybody to see who may be ultimately liable or partially liable. And if they've got insurance, then that can add to your actual recovery. Third kind of insurance that we look for is, what do you have? And you may have other insurances that help cover your damage. So for example, you may have health insurance, and your health insurance may pay for part or all of the medical bills. You may have in a car insurance policy, you can opt for something that's called PIP coverage, stands for personal injury protection. And that's an additional coverage you can request and pay for, which says, hey, if I'm in a car accident, I want the first $25,000 of medical care covered by my own insurance, period. I don't have to figure out fault. I just want that coverage. You can request that kind of coverage when you are talking with your insurance agent regarding what kind of insurance you should get for your car. You may also, when you are looking at automobile policies for yourself, you may decide to get what's called UM/UIM coverage. What does that mean? It stands for uninsured motorist, underinsured motorist coverage. What is that policy? So you may say, as an example, I want $300,000 of UM/UIM coverage. And what that means is if I'm involved in an accident and I get rear-ended by the 19-year-old with, sorry if you're 19, with the $25,000 insurance policy, and I get rear-ended and I have $200,000 in damages, this bozo only has $25,000. I get $25,000 from their insurance company, and now I turn around and I make a claim against my own insurance saying, hey, I've been injured by someone who didn't have enough insurance. They only had $25,000. My damages were $200,000. I want you to make up the rest of the $175,000. That's another type of insurance that you can have to protect yourself. You may also have your own disability insurance, which would pay for lost wage benefits. You would have collision coverage. Again, these are insurance policies. Oftentimes you have to make an effort to make them happen, which would pay for damage to your property. So there's a lot of different insurance programs that you can get yourself to help fill in the gaps, to fill in the losses that you can't get recovery from the other person. It's also possible, if you're injured in the course and scope of doing your job, that you have access to workers' compensation insurance, which covers medical bills and lost wages and gives some benefits for impairment. Again, the general rule is the more insurance policies that you can make a claim against, either because it's something that the person at fault has, some insurance policy you have, or some insurance policy another company has that covers the situation, the more likely it is going to be that you're going to be able to fully recover on your damages. Fewer insurance policies that are available to you, doesn't matter what the liability or the damages are, the less likely it is you're going to get full recovery. So the ability to recover is a major component to determining what you may get for a personal injury claim. As always, it can get very complicated, which is why you want to get teamed up with an experienced attorney who knows what kinds of insurance policies to look for in what kinds of cases, because they're going to know what to look for. You are not going to know what to look for, and that's why it's critical you get the legal help you need and deserve. You've been injured in a car accident, please give us a call for a free consultation. We're standing by. We're available to help you. You can call us, you can text us, you can go to our email and email us or text us there. We'd be happy to talk with you and see what kind of options you have. And with that, thank you for spending part of your day with me.